Yeah, it's one down.
There you go.
I
There
could
you
have.
go.
That's the one for like later, so I could have saved the tarot readings and such for
Right,
earlier
right.
ones, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, whatever happens. It's kind of it's a good promo. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
People will say, "Oh, this is coming up." So you used it almost as an advertisement. That's what I figured when you were talking about it.
So is this still? Do you still see that Christmas one that we just did being the one that we save to closer to Christmas, or should we just do that one first?
Oh, no, do that one first. Yeah,
Okay.
we can
All
do that
right.
one first. Yeah, we can do that one first. And then this next one, I'm going to suggest we at least start with the Stephen Colbert list.
Okay.
I think I told you about that.
Yep.
He has this list of 10 questions that he asks guests, and he always tells them that after you answer these 10 questions, our audience will know everything they need to know about you. And it's
Okay.
just kind of funny and fun, and I thought it would be fun and funny, for us both to answer
That's
those
yeah.
10
Absolutely.
questions, and riff on
I
them for a while. Go
I
ahead.
liked him. Do you know why he got picked for that show?
Not necessarily, no. But you can talk about that on the episode if you want.
Well, I mean, I guess we're starting to that right now, right?
Well, we can. Yes. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to this particular episode because I really want to have fun. I mean, we've been stressed over the holiday and or stressed around the holidays, and one of my favorite people in the world is Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
And I watch his show regularly. Not everybody likes him, of course, one because he's so ultra liberal, and that you know, doesn't attract all people in the world. And even though he is a very what do I want to say, um, very not avid, but not strong exactly, but committed Catholic, I really respect his commitment to his faith and how I believe he has a great amount of integrity. That's my opinion about him.
Oh
Other
yeah.
people may feel differently, but I really, really like him. And anyway, every now and then when he has a guest on, and I don't know if it's because he's out of ideas necessarily or he doesn't have a good hook for a particular guest that he has on, but he'll run through 10 questions for his guests. And he always tells his guests, after you answer these 10 questions, our audience will know everything important that they need to know about you from the answers you give to these 10 questions. So he had Jake, is it Gyllenhaal?
Gyllenhaal.
On
Yep.
Gyllenhaal, okay,
Yep.
soft G, Gyllenhaal on the other night, and he went through the 10 questions with Jake. And like I said, it was fun, and I thought, gee, that would be kind of fun to steal from him. So, Stephen, I'm really sorry if you find me plagiarizing your list of 10 questions, but we'd like to introduce ourselves to you. And if you're ever in need of a show, you can plug ours in so
Yeah.
that your audience can get to know everything that's important to know about us through these 10 questions. Okay?
So back to the information that apparently you're not
Yes.
aware of.
Yes, tell me. How did he get
Yeah, I
picked?
was going to say, did you not know why it was the Comedy Channel, right? Wasn't he on the Comedy Network?
He was, yes, with Jon Stewart,
Yeah,
whom
yeah,
I
yeah,
also love
yeah.
for
I think he's
some.
a neat guy too.
He is
Um,
amazing.
I think they're both very practical.
What do you mean? How do you
Just in
define
like,
that?
just in like the shit that they say, especially. I mean, John Stewart got Tucker Carlson and I forget the other guy's name fired from the show Crossfire on CNN.
Stephen O'Reilly?
No, um,
I know
that
Tucker, but I'm trying to think of the second person.
it
Bill.
was the liberal guy because it was a show on
Oh,
Crossfire, or I'm sorry, it was a show on CNN called Crossfire. Tucker Carlson was the conservative, and to be like some of the conservatives on Capitol Hill, he had the same messy hair that he has now because it's like they're at the yacht club and they're not in church. That whole look, and he would wear a bow tie.
Oh,
like some of the far right,
yeah,
guys
yeah,
in
yeah.
the seersucker suits and that whole look on Capitol Hill that
I,
members of Congress still wear to this day. That's
huh.
a thing. Um, and so he would have the bow tie, and Jon Stewart comes on as their guest.
That's my phone. I turned it off.
Are you good?
Oh, wait a minute. Can we pause for a second? I need to
Sure.
take this.
All right.
Hello.
Okay, so back to recording right away. Everything's good, right?
Do we need to reintroduce ourselves or just start?
Um, well,
We took a break. Do we need to
I
say
don't
that?
remember. Did we just stop right after the Christmas one, or did we start the other one yet?
We started the other one, and you were going to tell me why Stephen Colbert was hired.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. Um, so yeah, so Stephen Colbert, does he remind you of anybody? First of all,
Oh, Steve Allen?
well, actually, kind of, yeah. I see that resemblance too.
Yeah.
But he was hired by the Comedy Network
Hmm.
essentially to be Bill O'Reilly's liberal doppelganger.
Well, I saw him, paid attention to him, watched his program when he was on the, what is it, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And he
Yeah,
was the, yeah, left leaning. He was so funny. Yes, yes,
yeah.
yes. I'm
So
aware
he
of that.
and that was his whole show was basically a spoof
Yes.
of um, the no spin zone or whatever O'Reilly claimed to
Hmm.
have.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and to support it, I guess he's been on that show like two or three times as like his comedic adversary, but just kind of a friend of the show kind of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
It wasn't very. It was a funny, and
Hmm.
Bill O'Reilly handled everything very well,
Yep.
unlike his actual show that was on Fox. Um, but yeah, he was, and that's why the suit every time and the haircut, and
Hmm.
he was
Hmm.
basically spoofing Bill O'Reilly.
Hmm. Yeah, I loved it.
Um,
It was so funny. Yep. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
So anyway, so he his
So you
top
have these 10 questions handy.
I have the questions handy. I just so happen to have them handy.
All right.
So, and I have not prepared my responses, so so you can ask me back and maybe I'll have an answer. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, question number one, and supposedly, according to Stephen Colbert, the order of the questions is important. So I did
Okay.
notice what the order of the questions was. I think I have them written down here. Yes. Okay. So the first question, and I can remember before I start, I can remember I tried to use this when I was teaching. Now that was before the Stephen Colbert started, the show started. But I can remember when we were doing some things at the high school, and I was interviewing different kids, or they were interviewing each other. That's what it was. They were interviewing each other and had a list of questions, and they never used it, but I always wanted them to ask their interview people, boxers or briefs. I think that's an interesting. So that's one that the kids were a little, what do you say, shy about doing that, but I thought it would be a funny opening.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, question number one, way safer question. What is your favorite sandwich?
Probably Turkey Club.
Turkey Club. And is
Yeah.
my husband insists that the order on which you place the ingredients is very important. So how would you build your turkey club? And what kind
Well,
of bread would you use? Tell us all about you. questionnaire is so that we know you thoroughly. So,
This is funny because in the call that I had with the potential agent earlier,
mm,
uh, she was saying about how she and I need to get to know each other. Marcella and I need to get to know each other, and continue doing that. And I thought, maybe I need to do a video just on that. And
about
now
who
here
you
we
are
are, doing
and
the
who you
whole
are.
Steve thing. Yeah.
Then you can use this one.
So I'm the one at the restaurant dinner table that goes through the entire basket of bread myself.
Okay.
Uh, and at the nicer restaurants where they send you three different types of bread, I really don't really care which one it is. I'll just gobble it down. So the bread doesn't really matter as far as like the my
Okay.
store bought bread. Um, Mayonnaise
Okay.
and light or low calorie mayonnaise because I'm still I'm getting
Good.
back into the gym after fighting the depression and PTSD and such.
Yeah.
But I've always eaten healthy, even though mayonnaise is probably something you should not skimp
Right.
on.
Right. Now, do you
Um,
like your mayonnaise thin or thick?
I like it thick, but I don't do it that way.
Okay.
I think that ultimately, because there's enough of it to go up against the cheese, which is always next.
Oh,
Cheese is always against the bread, and then the meats.
but wait, the cheese against the mayonnaise?
Yeah, it's all going to the same place. Who gives a shit?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
So after the
I do
cheese.
put it on. I do put it on thin for the health reasons, and also kind of sort of um, the waste.
Okay.
It's just moistening essentially the bread
Hmm.
as opposed to and creating a flavor. But I think mayonnaise is usually strong enough of a flavor
Hmm.
that I don't need to put it on with a spatula.
Okay.
Um, uh,
There's a term for that in the arts. I wish I were educated enough to tell you when they really thick.
Put it on thick. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a word for that, and I'm losing it right now. Go ahead.
yeah. I can
So
imagine.
after the
I
cheese.
can
Now, what
imagine.
the cheese? Are we talking about provolone, Swiss,
That's also
American?
another one that can be almost anything.
Hmm.
I at the cocktail party, I'm at the bologna and cheese uh,
Hmm.
and cracker display or um,
And there's a
wheel because
word for
that's in the
that.
spot.
There's a fancy word for that too. That JD was telling me, and I don't know what it was. Couldn't pronounce it, but Paul and I were
Wow.
at Wegmans yesterday, and the word was written there. You know, it
To
was
describe a cheese wheel or
a plate
platter.
of meats and probably cheeses, meats and cheeses. There's a word. It starts with a C.
Um, I don't know that one.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Um,
We'll fill in our
but
audience in a later interview. Okay, so after the
and then
cheese.
and then I can I can do without the lettuce.
Mhm,
I don't like shredded lettuce unless it's in a hoagie where there's
mhm,
something that's going to be kept together.
mhm,
But the only place I would really get that would be at like Subway,
mhm.
and there I get spinach anyway instead of lettuce.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if I had it in lieu of the mayonnaise,
Yeah.
I would use an avocado spread.
Oh, yes.
Not necessarily guacamole because that's got some other things in it,
Right.
but like the Subway restaurant avocado spread that they have,
Hmm.
that always that always confuses them when I tell them not to use mayonnaise.
Hmm.
Well, you already got that avocado, which is kind of probably got mayonnaise in it. What do I need more for?
Right. Okay.
You know, and I just said, put that right in the bread and we're good.
Okay.
Um, for the turkey, definitely, and this is a Susie Yerger thing, I think too. Definitely sliced breast over lunch meat. Like I mean,
Over deli turkey breast. I get you.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, like
Yes.
from the actual right. It was on the turkey breast 2 minutes
Right.
ago.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha. The other gets
but
so slimy so fast.
yeah, yeah, and that's often fattier
Okay.
because it's a processed meat.
Hmm.
It's not right off the turkey breast, even if it's turkey breast lunch meat.
Right.
It's still lunch meat, which is
Hmm.
processed. Um, and I can go with sliced tomato. Doesn't have to be.
Hmm.
I'm used to limiting now, within the past year and a half, limiting the amount of tomato that I buy because Zach doesn't eat it at all. Like the only thing, two things I know he's had tomato in are spaghetti sauce and pizza sauce,
Okay.
and that's the closest he gets to tomato.
I love
Um,
tomatoes.
I
Yep.
get the cherry, like the Cherub brand, I think it is, tomato for salad,
Hmm.
but I don't get that in the huge container either for the same reason, and it's just
Hmm.
me.
Yeah.
One thing I will get are the I don't know what type of tomato they are, but they're smaller and they're more oval
Yeah,
as opposed to a round tomato.
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. They're salsa tomatoes.
I'll slice them into slices.
Hmm.
Um, sorry. I'll slice them into slices for sliders. They fit
Ah,
perfectly over a slider.
yeah.
And I'm known here for making bison sliders
Oh.
from bison meat.
Now, do you add, do your turkey clubs have bacon?
If yeah, if I have it and I made like a bunch at breakfast and we got the leftovers for it, yeah, I usually won't have the time to make that at home
Hmm.
without like having the bacon as a leftover,
Gotcha.
and then I don't care that it's not hot because
Now,
it's like
go ahead.
that's all right. I was just gonna say on the TV show Bar Rescue, John Taffer, the host of that, a world renowned bar designer and consultant, um, gave the stat with regards to how much they also like beer.
Hmm.
It was something like 73% of men prefer bacon over sex.
Holy cow.
And I,
That's
wow.
that's quite a statistic.
So I guess to kind of sort of support that this stat, not that I have that same feel. I'm part of the other 27,
Mm.
but I don't need it to be hot to be on and fresh to be on a turkey sandwich. When it's not hot and fresh and crumbled up in my salad as bacon
Hmm.
bits.
Hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's a flavor that's a salted flavor that's still there.
Mhm. A lot of people like
So
bacon.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah. But I didn't know it competed with sex. So that's kind of interesting.
yeah, yeah.
That's kind of interesting. Okay, so question number two. For you, what is the scariest animal?
The one I don't see
Okay.
because I'm in all kinds of different places. I've been in the woods.
Hmm.
I've seen a bear in the woods.
Hmm.
I've seen sharks in the water.
Ooh.
I've seen when I was a cop, this one farmer's cattle got loose,
Okay.
and I was 10 feet away from a 2,000 pound bull.
Whoa. And
I
what
got
did you?
between me and a tree. I put a tree between him and me real quick.
Wow. And
Um,
then did he get distracted and walk away, or?
he could have cared less. He was like, and it was, of course, it was the middle of the night. can't happen when, this shit,
Oh my goodness.
while the farmer's up and maybe actually in the field.
Right.
We it was in North Coventry. We got a call right off of Route 100 too, so that was a little less than thrilling. Um, that this thing's going to run out into the street yet. Um,
Were you called to capture the animal? Is that why you were there?
yeah, I guess that's because that's what police do. They
Okay.
capture livestock in the middle of the night. It's one of the many things that and I kind of sort of did it here. I heard this like whimpering
Hmm.
inside one of my neighbor's garbage bags,
Oh.
like it was a kitten or a baby or some shit.
Hmm. And
And I called 911, and they could have cared less. They said,
uh,
Unless you know it's something like that, we can't come to look at it." Which I knew was wrong because it was the what's called curtilage. In other words, they put the garbage in a bag, closed it up, and put it out on the curb for collection.
hmm.
That means it's discarded.
Hmm.
So for law enforcement, there he is. As far as law enforcement goes, I can open that up and take it and search for incriminating things
Hmm.
because the possible bad guy put that out the curb. It's now disposed.
Hmm.
If it's still, if that's the practice that it gets put to the curb and it's still by his house, then I need a search warrant. But I wasn't going to argue with the dispatcher who probably doesn't know any. So I'm like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
I'll walk by, and if there's a lot of red shit oozing out of it tomorrow, we'll know you missed a kidnapped baby or whatever.
Uh,
And
yep.
it wasn't anything. So, but yeah, I'm more concerned about in the intelligence community. We have a saying: "You don't know what you don't know,"
Hmm.
and that's why you always take more than one source, and you never stop trying to learn about something that you're trying to either master or learn in the first place.
Hmm.
And if I can see a shark and I'm on my ski,
Mm. Is that
I'm
where you've
okay.
seen them? Is that where you've seen them?
No, I've swam with them in Belize, but I had an experienced guide with us who knew that they were harmless nurse sharks who eat much, much smaller fish than people.
Gotcha.
And in
So.
another visit, I wasn't on it, but he told us of a time that they came upon a tiger shark, which is
Hmm.
aggressive,
Hmm.
and a hammerhead shark,
Mm.
which is a bottom feeder but still aggressive.
Hmm.
Um, they eat stingrays. That's why they have the things on their head. It's because they kick around the dirt and startle a stingray and eat the stingray. But still, their mouths are big enough to put a big hole in my ass.
Yeah.
Besides the one that's there already.
Anyway, I just had a text message I needed to deal with. I'm sorry for the
That's
dead
okay.
air.
Yep, that's okay.
Okay, so whatever animal you can't see is the one that is most threatening
Yeah,
to you. But if you can know what it is, you know how to react, I guess. Okay,
yeah,
question number
exactly.
three: apples or oranges?
Probably more apples because I can use peanut butter with them a lot easier.
That's what Steve Colbert said. You can't use peanut butter on oranges. And yet I would
Yeah,
go with the orange. I love both, and I love apples with peanut butter.
yeah,
That sounds great too, or almond butter, or any kind of anything.
right.
But apples are just really versatile in a variety of things. But I do have an orange every day. So anyway,
Oh wow,
yeah, yep, yep,
is
yep.
that the vitamin C?
Um, just for the roughage, I think, as much as anything. I just like
Okay,
them. They're just
yeah,
refreshing. They're very refreshing. I think that's what
but
it
it's a
is.
natural source of sugar. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just so refreshing, and I love them. Okay, so did you ever number 4, did you ever ask anyone for an autograph?
Not recently, but yes.
And who
Um,
would that be?
when we were kids, Pete Rose came to the World Series,
Okay.
the Legion World Series, and he was a dick. He was,
Seriously?
yeah, yeah. Um, Also, when we were kids, we would go to Alvernia to watch the Eagles in summer camp before they were at Lehigh.
Mhm.
They used to be out in Reading at Alvernia. Is that me or you? Because I'm still expecting to hear back from Crypto.com.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Tony Franklin was the kicker for the Eagles when I was a kid.
Mhm.
One of the last barefoot kickers, and he was a jerk. And then
Okay.
two of the meanest Eagles from the defense were Bill Bergey
Mhm.
and Pete Perot, a guy named Petey Perot. We met Bergey later. I'll tell you that story. But Pete Perot was getting his ass chewed out by Dick Vermeil, the head coach,
Mhm.
and everybody's going up this hill on these steps that go up and down, kind of like the far end of the football stadium
Mhm.
over to
Mhm.
the left of the scoreboard,
Yeah.
if they're still even there. Um, and then to keep the crowd back, there were these snow fences along the top of the hill,
Mhm.
and then they created a chute from the top of the steps directly to the locker room,
Hmm.
and it was packed. Good number of fans there.
Yeah.
And Perot was so pissed off after Dick Vermeil chewed his ass out that he just goes right up the hill, not on the steps, but through the grass,
Mhm.
steps on the snow fence, and just pushes that whole thing over. And
Whoa.
the whole crowd of people just parted like the Red Sea, and boom, out of the way. One little kid didn't know any better. He goes, "Oh, wow, this guy's right in front of me. I'll ask for his autograph."
Yeah.
And credit to Pete Perot, who did know better,
Uh-huh.
picks the kid up and puts him on his shoulder,
Get out.
carries him into the locker room, and
Wow.
that kid came out with a um, whole tablet full of autographs. The Bill Bergey story. We're in New Jersey, in Cherry Hill, I think, at one of my brother Randy's ice hockey games, and mom and dad look up, and my 5-year-old, you know, uh, toddler baby brother Ryan is gone. We can't find him.
Oh.
We
Oh
look through all
my.
the stands, and these games don't have sellout crowds, but there's good crowd, parents and whatever, and we're looking all over the place, and we're starting to run around the whole rink. We can't find him. Well,
Wow.
going up and down the locker rooms, my dad is running past the players benches and the penalty benches, and there's this little blonde-haired kid sitting on Bill Bergey's lap, who's the his kid. My brother was playing Bill Bergey's kid, and Bill Bergey was operating the clock,
Mhm.
and some blonde kid is sitting on his lap, with him. Well, they were like, not him.
Mhm.
Turns out it was him, and not only was he sitting on Bill Bergey's lap, he was the one actually turning the clock on and off.
Oh
My
my
like
goodness.
5-year-old brother Ryan.
That's cool. Does he
So
remember
yeah,
that story? Does he
I
remember
don't
that
know.
story?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
interesting. Yep.
so yeah, those two. Of course, I lost a bunch of books um, in a storage facility. I can't watch the show Storage Wars,
Oh.
where they come and auction off people's shit.
Uh-huh.
I had been traveling a lot, and I was behind on the rent of a storage facility that I had. And I lost books from Bill Clinton, Hillary. every
Wow.
book that Jimmy Carter wrote, because it was taken out of that and
Sold.
sold.
Yeah. Ooh, that's
But I
hard.
had all theirs. Yeah.
That's hard. And I imagine there were things other than books in there as well.
Oh yeah. I don't even remember anymore. But that was back in D.C. when I was on Hillary, so that's 13 years ago.
Right. I don't remember ever asking anybody for an autograph, although I might have. But I do remember being in a group of people listening to Dennis Hopper back when we lived in Colorado. And he was, making commentary or whatever, probably over his latest film. And then he asked the audience if there were any questions. And my husband always remembers that I said, yes, I have a question. And I can't remember what it was anymore, but I gave him multiple choice responses. Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? And so forth. And my husband thinks
Nice.
that was it was really funny. And so did Dennis Hopper. My husband had to alert him and say, she's a teacher. That's the way they work.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, it was funny. Okay,
Well, that's
so
that's funny but that's funny
mhm,
that the question even
mhm,
still is about autographs
mhm.
instead of in today's day and age getting a picture with somebody.
A selfie.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. See, I would be loath, let's say, I would be loath to disturb somebody else's energy by saying,
Yeah.
oh, can I take a selfie with you? Or can I have your audience? I mean, they're just people and they're trying to have a meal or they're trying to get somewhere or
Right.
they're in their own space. And it's like, I just would not, I'm just not comfortable doing that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And that's
Yeah.
I had a and I'm still good friends with a guy and I haven't busted on him about it, but I had a coworker who
Mhm.
had a personal digital camera in his pocket while he was on the job in the Secret Service. So when celebrities walked past his post, he could get selfies with them.
Oh,
And he's doing this with like all these celebrities inside of Magic Johnson's house.
oh my goodness.
And I'm like, dude, really?
That's tacky.
And
I'm
he
sorry.
was kind of, yeah, and he was kind of one of the buddies to the bosses, so nobody said anything.
Right.
But I
Right.
promise you, I whip out my phone, which we're supposed to have anyway,
Right.
to do one, and I'm the one getting written up for it for
For sure.
unprofessional behavior.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, next question is window or aisle seat?
Either over the middle. I can deal with the window. I can deal with the aisle. Would probably rather have the aisle for purposes of stretching out.
Okay.
Um, in my age, there's probably going to be more than one trip to the bathroom, uh, especially with the amount of coffee or soda that I drink.
Mhm,
So probably the aisle would be ideal.
mhm.
I would say aisle, window, middle in
Okay.
that order.
Okay. I like the window so that I can direct my attention to anything other than people. So I can
Yeah, well,
pretend to
that's
be
a good.
asleep.
Oh,
I can pretend to be
yeah,
looking at the scenery, but I can escape.
yeah. A lot of travelers that don't travel as frequently like the
Hmm.
window because they want to see the
Hmm.
planet from 30,000 feet.
And I have the
Once you're traveling
greatest,
2 or 3, 4 times a
right,
week,
right.
that's old. Yeah,
It loses its interest, loses its
yeah.
magic. Okay, so next question. What's your favorite smell?
Men's cologne.
Anything?
No, just a good one. Yeah,
Back in the day, back in my day, it was English leather. Do you remember that?
I do. My first real favorites were Old Spice, the
Hmm.
aftershave, or
Yep.
Stetson.
Ah,
Stetson
awesome.
was my first cologne,
Hmm.
and Old Spice was when I stole Dad's aftershave.
Okay, what's your least favorite smell?
With all the dead bodies I've seen,
Mm.
Um, none of them were ever in a heated environment
Hmm.
because with the year that I was a police officer at North Coventry, I was in the academy over the summer and then graduated late summer into the fall. And then by the next summer, I was in the Secret Service. So all of the stuff that was in cooler temperatures.
Hmm.
But if I have some meat in the refrigerator that we didn't eat in a timely fashion, and as was the case with these turkey burgers a couple days ago, we just missed the garbage collection,
Uh-oh.
and now it's going to sit in the garbage can for another couple of days,
Hmm.
a half a week, because we get ours twice a week. That in Florida heat, even now when
Hmm.
it's not really that hot,
Well, you know what I
can
do?
smell absolutely nasty.
I instead of putting it in the garbage, just in the garbage or down the disposal, which is the obvious best thing to do if you can. But I will put it in a plastic bag and knot it real tight, and or put it in another container, like an empty coffee container or an
Yeah,
empty, dip container or any kind of container that has a lid on it. And then I would put it in the garbage because
yeah,
if
something like that.
if you just even put when you're and when you're what do you say, preparing meat, and
Yeah,
the plate that the meat comes on from the supermarket, if that goes in the garbage, there's still that smell, and I can't stand it.
yeah, I rinse them very good. And
Hmm.
even the styrofoam ones that supposedly aren't recyclable, I recycle
Hmm.
because my thought is if they do actually make it to recycling, it can become more styrofoam.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, maybe we just make
Anyway,
it more styrofoam.
I think rotten potatoes rival
Yeah,
are even worse than meat that's spoiled. That
yeah.
wow.
As
That
far
that
as like the treating of it too, if I know that for some reason I can't get it out into I won't put it in the garbage can in the house. I'll
Mhm.
take it outside right away.
Right.
And if for some reason I can't, I'll leave it in the refrigerator
Yeah.
because there it's actually isolated
Mhm.
and it's in something that's further isolates it. So it's not like it's going to cross contaminate anything else.
Right.
Um, although I clean everything else off anyway.
Mhm.
And I just went through I emptied the whole refrigerator out, took the drawers out, everything, and did that very cleaning.
Mhm. I
Um,
love to do that. Yep.
I
I
remember
used
you made us do a thing
what did I do? I think I
in that
know.
gifted class.
I think
We
I
had to
know. Go ahead.
describe all the shit on the refrigerator door,
Yes.
and I didn't know it was supposed to be like a creative exercise. So I'm just taking inventory of like salad dressing, ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, uh, lime juice, and
Mhm.
I didn't know that we were supposed to like have any like creative license or anything like that. And
Well,
I'm reading
it's
Kelly Herbert's,
yeah.
and she's saying about how like the French is mixed in with the ranch, and I'm like,
Mhm.
the shit, that's what my refrigerator looks like, and I didn't think to write that.
It's interesting the way the brain works, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
remember it. I can remember an essay or an exercise in which I asked the kids to ask the kids, what was it? God, I can't remember anymore. But I remember talking to them about the differences between celery and carrots. I mean, celery, when it's in the shopping bag, right? It's sticking out of the top of the shopping bag, and it's all this green, luscious green color. And it's got these pretty little leaves, you know, that are, just kind of waving around, right? Whereas carrots are really ugly. They're misshapen. They've got bumps. They are often, kind of dirty looking, you know. And yet, when you clean the carrots, when you scrape them, okay, They're so beautiful, beautiful orange. And,
Right.
you know, as you anthropomorphize, you turn them into people, turn them, give them human qualities.
Right.
You think about the celery that on the outside it's just so flashy and so beautiful. When you clean it, it loses its allure. And yet a carrot
Very
on the
plain.
outside is, yeah, plain and ugly, and yet when you clean it, it's so beautiful. So that was just a fun exercise for me to do.
Something I remember from celery.
Celery.
Um, in seventh grade, my what was it, biology? Yeah, and the chemistry one was eighth grade with John Carr. Vicky Kramer
Mm-hmm.
was my seventh grade science teacher.
Okay.
Xylem and phloem.
Phloem. Yes. I don't remember
Do you know
what
what
they
they
are,
are?
but I remember the words
Yeah.
from my botany
When you
class.
cut
Yes.
a piece of celery in half,
Yes.
when you not fillet, but chop it, up, and you
Mm-hmm.
hold it and look at it from the side, those little dots
Yes.
are tubes that run the whole length
Yes.
of celery.
That carry the
It's like the
water.
blood vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so xylem are the ones that carry water.
Mm-hmm.
Phloem are the ones that carry actual food nutrients, minerals, and whatever that it pulls out of the ground.
How, hey,
And
audience, we are,
nobody in science class knew how to keep them separate. And Vicky Kramer just said, "You just got to learn it."
mhm,
And I raised my hand. I said, "Just remember it this way: food, phloem."
good.
She goes, "You got an A."
Isn't it funny what we remember? And our
Yeah,
audience is getting quite an education here, don't you think?
yeah, absolutely. They're learning more than just me.
Absolutely. Okay, next question. What is your favorite song?
Oh, this is like the question I've had before. Somebody asks who is the most inspiring person. I've done too many different things to narrow it down to just one. Um, but the one that I'm using right now, there's two covers actually. The one that I'm using right now for my radio show, because it's talk radio, I chose a song, the beginning and the very end of the song "Keep Talking" from Pink Floyd.
Oh, how cool.
And there's a computerized voice that comes on at the beginning and at the end. It's actually Stephen Hawking.
No
They
kidding.
contracted him to do that spoken part.
Now, the spoken part
Uh,
from his computer
yeah,
that
because he
speaks
can't
for
speak.
him? Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
right.
That's the computerized voice. Is it's Stephen Hawking?
That's awesome.
And then, of
That's awesome.
course, the other one that I have in my head all the time, often because I'm not only liking it but editing with it, is ours. The one that I stole off of YouTube, that piano version of Both Sides Now.
Okay.
I just love the melody in that.
Hmm.
I think she was very much onto something when Joni Mitchell wrote that. And for this guy to, the irony of both of those songs is whenever I put that on, I think I did the whole thing or something about it once, and YouTube flagged it for a copyright violation. And then I put the segments of the beginning and the end of Keep Talking, and that gets nothing.
It
Now, the
depends, I
irony of
guess.
that is the Keep Talking is without question a copyright violation because I'm taking that from Pink Floyd, from their album,
Hmm.
and without their permission or acknowledgement.
Hmm.
The one from Both Sides Now is a cover,
Gotcha.
which somebody else to do in public like that would have had to obtain the rights to do.
Hmm.
And I took it from YouTube, where it already was.
I think it probably depends on who's paying attention, who's being paid to pay attention to those kinds of things, or
Oh, I think it's
whatever.
no, that's an automated thing that they've got
Well, yeah,
because when
yeah,
you upload the video,
right, right,
it comes
right.
back within minutes. Yeah.
Part of their program, is this being used somewhere else? Yeah, yeah, part of their program. Okay, so my favorite song, I think, or I
Yeah.
have many, 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 many.
Yes, yes, and me too.
I mean, what's his name's Canon in D minor is one of my. It's not a song; it's just a melody. My son knows to play that for me. My daughter knows that "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," is one of my favorites. But for me to listen to, it's Leonard's "Hallelujah."
Okay.
I mean, that one.
Two of those songs that you just mentioned,
Yeah.
we played yesterday because I have Christmas versions of them.
Do you really?
Um, I think it's Il Divo doing both of them.
Mm,
I think. Do you know who Il Divo is?
no. Mm-mm.
They're a quartet. Well, they were. Uh, Maybe they're back to it. I don't know. But they were a quartet put together by Simon Cowell,
I love
and
Simon Cowell.
one was an American. There was a Spaniard, a Swiss, and a Frenchman or Brit. I think I'm not sure what the fourth one was, but and I don't know if it was because of political beliefs or just never got around to it. But the Spaniard last December, a year ago, was unvaccinated and came
Mm,
down with COVID while they were touring in London and
mm.
died
Oh my.
within a week.
No kidding. What a shame.
And so now they're down to three. Um, I don't even remember where I learned about them, but you know, and it's very, it's it's almost like the famous tenors. It's very
Yes. Yes.
operatic, um,
Yes.
but still kind of sort of adult contemporary, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they've replaced him or what, but yeah, they were pretty solid.
Well, I just know.
And they did Alleluia and Somewhere
Oh,
Over the Rainbow as like a
no
Christmas type of
kidding.
version.
Oh,
Yeah,
lovely. Well, I just know the morning after the election where Hillary lost, and the cold open of Saturday Night Live just broke my heart. And I can't listen to that piece without tearing up. Just beautiful.
which which one did they do that for? I don't remember that.
Which one? The
What
cold
was the song that was for Saturday Night
Hallelujah.
Live? Oh,
Hallelujah.
okay,
It was the cold open for Saturday Night Live after Hillary's loss to what's
yeah.
his name?
All this shit was
Okay,
over type of Hallelujah.
you got it. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. Anyway, okay, so number 9. What number am I thinking of?
Probably two for each of us, or three for the number of episodes we'll probably do.
Well, actually, it's 23. So
Oh
good
wow,
guess.
wow,
And 23 is my license plate number, the word 20, and then a 3. And people ask me, what does 23 stand for? And the short answer is it's the number I play on roulette. Okay. And
okay,
the longer answer is that I am I have synesthesia, which is a syndrome in which I see numbers and colors. For example, the number 2 is yellow. It's just when I see yellow, I think of the number 2. The number 3 is red. Whenever I see something red, it reminds me of the number 3. I mean,
Wow.
never mind that they're, graphically, they're very lovely numbers. The curves in them are lovely. If you think about 23, it has a nice flow to it. But yeah, I have synesthesia and
What is that? I mean, I don't see anything necessarily wrong with that. That it's
no.
why is that like a syndrome or something?
Well, not everybody sees numbers and colors. My daughter
Okay.
sees numbers. My daughter sees numbers on a like a musical clef. She sees them
Yeah.
floating on a musical clef. As well,
Yeah.
my friend Roy Kubler, my late friend Roy Kubler, and
Yeah.
she shared that they saw numbers in the same kind of way. It's just a strange kind of thing. And when I do laps in my pool, for exercise, I do like 14 laps. And in order to help me remember what lap I'm on, because if I don't pay attention, I forget, what lap is this? Did I just do
Right.
two or was that one? I don't know. But I give the numbers of my laps. They all have colors attached to them, and I give them names. For example, my mother loved the color red. So lap number 3, I think about my mother, memories and, all those kinds of things. Jeff,
Wow.
back in the day, there's a Sesame song, and part of that song was Jeffy's number 4. And so number 4 is blue. So for me, and it's like not a sky blue, not a navy blue, a royal blue. And so lap number 4, I think about Jeff, memories and things I want to talk to him about and so forth. So I do that for 14 laps. Everybody's got a number. I have to give you a number. I think you'll be
Wow.
number 5. I'm not sure why.
Which is which color?
The color of your shirt, actually, that
Oh, this
green.
green.
Yeah, yeah. I
That's a
gave Ginger
frequent one.
number 5. I gave Ginger number 5 because the I'll get it. The letter G is kind of ginger. Yeah, it's
Dependent,
green.
yeah, and depending on which type of calligraphy or capital or lowercase or
Hmm.
stuff like that too.
Exactly. Okay, so that's the number. Um, and you are number 2. Okay. So the last question is, for the rest of your life, tell me, define yourself or describe yourself or name yourself in 5 words. What are you going to do with the rest of your life in 5 words?
Helpful,
I want to be
friendly.
helpful works. I want to be friendly works. Yes,
I thought I was doing
whatever.
5 words.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That works
Helpful,
too. Friendly. Go there.
yeah. Helpful, friendly, innovative, loyal, and one that I've been trying to overcome, approachable.
You're trying to
A lot of
overcome being approachable
a lot
or
of people
being
say that
unapproachable.
yeah, a lot of
Intimidating.
people say that I'm intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they think that. I don't know what it is.
Mm,
Obviously, it's got to be something to do with either what they know about me already or think they know about me already, or my posture and demeanor,
yeah.
which that's the one that I can definitely work on,
Hmm.
and I'm trying.
Mm.
um, but everybody
Well, I
that I
think,
complain about to that, they'll say, "Yeah, you're intimidating." And I'm like, "Why?
yeah,
What is it?"
yeah, yeah.
And everybody's
Anyway,
just like, "Well, you just are." I'm like, "That's not helping."
that's not helping. I know. Very good. Well, now that we've answered those 10 questions for you, our audience should know everything they need to know about you. How's that?
Glad. I guess I'm conquering it on some level because if you remember when we were leaving the cocktail party at the studio, you were at the one window talking to my mom,
Hmm.
and a car drove by, and the guy shouted out to me. Do you remember that?
Hmm. Yeah.
The driver leans out the window and yells, "Yergs!" Right?
Wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah,
people were informed that you would be at the studio, so it's possible
I
that
guess.
somebody who saw the Facebook or whatever may have just driven by at the right moment and realized you were there. So there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of the questionnaire that Stephen Colbert offered, and my guess is that we've talked for a good 30 some minutes since we have the what do you say?
We're about 15 seconds away from 50 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Well, then it's time for us to close. I'm Jane
It
Stahl,
is. You're there. And I'm Yergs.
and this is Both
Both
Sides
sides
Now.
now. Glad
Take
you all
care.
got to know me, everybody. See ya.